Hi, I am Nettie from PartyFowl Pet Supplies over on Etsy, and this video is going to be about adding a new duck, goose, or chicken to your family as a house pet. And the information in this video is incredibly important and mandatory for all brand new potential fowl owners. Even if you're experienced in having baby fowl or having ducks or geese or chickens as pets in your family, we highly recommend that you also stay and watch this video because you might learn something new you did not know before. When it comes to adding fowl to a family, what people often think is maybe like a cat or a dog, that they need to get the animal as young as possible in order to train that animal or to for that animal to really bond with your family. This is not true. There's actually many ways to include one of these animals as a part of your family. One of the serious things that I want to talk to you guys about first is the sad thing that happens every spring known as dumping. And what happens is these animals they're so cute when they're babies. And during the spring they become rather easy to get a hold of. You can find them often at pet stores, farm stores, even local markets. And they're usually not very expensive. They're usually under $10. And they're so cute, and most people, they buy one on impulse. They think it might be something great for their kids to experience over the spring holidays. And these people are usually very uninformed, and they don't understand fully what's required of them in order to really have that pet be a successful member of their family. So what this video will do is just give you that information to help you make good decisions about adding a pet duck, a goose, or a chicken into your family. I myself have been a duck mama for well over 5 years now. I did get my ducks as babies. Like I think I've said before, there wasn't as much information on the web about having baby fowl. Nowadays there's so much more information, and one of the very first things we always tell people who are interested in getting one of these animals as a pet for your family is to do your research. With all listings we have at our PartyFowl shop at Etsy, there is a link at the bottom that gives you a basic rundown list of requirements you will need to fulfill in order to be a great duck parent. We stress that everybody look through that and make sure you can fulfill every single one of those requirements before adding a duck into your family. Oftentimes these animals are picked up, brought home, they're really cute, but they eat a lot and they poop a lot and they grow really fast, and then quite soon that animal is now going through the process of getting adult feathers, so they tend to look really funny looking, and they're little poop machines, and they don't fit in a cage or an aquarium anymore, and families just don't know what to do with them. These kinds of animals are extremely hard to rehome, and oftentimes what happens is animal dumping. These animals are placed at local parks, lakes, or even farms, and by releasing them into the wild, people think that the animal will do just great and will have a happy life outside. This is not true. Not only is the act of animal dumping very illegal, but it also spells certain death for the animal. 99% of these animals that are released into the wild don't make it past through the next season. And that's because these animals were raised with people inside, and the vast majority of the time these are imprinted animals, and they don't understand what predators are, and they don't understand how to forage for the food that they need. So these animals are more likely than not going to die within the first couple of weeks of being left at these places. If you are not sure whether or not a duck or goose is for you, I really recommend that you research animal dumping so you can see what exactly happens to these poor babies when they're impulsively bought and then left pretty much to die out in the wild. Now, there are some great stories every year of animals that are rescued and placed into great homes, but that's usually the very best case scenario and doesn't happen all that much. So before adding any new pet into your family of any kind, do your research. Make sure that you're going to be a great home for that animal for the whole rest of its life. So that leads me into imprinting and bonding. There tends to be a lot of misconception about these things and what exactly they are and how they work. I'm sure a lot of people have seen cartoons where a little duck pops out of an egg and sees a cartoon cat and immediately cries "mama," and then chases that cat around, honestly believing that that cat is its mama. This is not exactly how imprinting works. Imprinting is not quite that precise. With birds, and particularly fowl, when they hatch, they tend to imprint on the first living thing they see that's larger than them. So if the duckling was hatched by a sitting duck or a hen, and then sees that animal after hatching, it will then believe it is the species of that animal that set it. Oftentimes, the vast majority of ducklings are produced through hatcheries and who use incubation methods. So these ducklings, the first living thing larger than themselves they tend to see are the people who work at these hatcheries. The duckling can actually take up to 48 hours to truly imprint on a species. So this means you do not have to incubate your own eggs in order to get an imprinted baby. If you decide that the route of having a brand new baby duck for in your family, as long as you get them from a reputable hatchery with low purchasing minimums, the one I highly recommend is called Metzer Farms in California. And this is because they use a special technique of putting heat packs in so they can send as few as 2 animals at a time. Please beware of hatcheries that use warmer chicks. This means where you may have only ordered 1 duck that you want to keep in your family, you might get 9 chicks also with that order as a means to keep all of the babies warm. And those 9 chicks will be very hard to place in a new home. So please avoid hatcheries that have just a method of using those warmer chicks. So with the imprint, since it can take up to 48 hours for an animal to truly imprint on a species, this means they do not imprint on an individual. The first person they see upon hatching is not the person they will assume is their mama. That is the species they imprint on, and they know that they are. So if you get that baby, the way that baby is really going to learn that you're its mama or its papa and that you're the one that's going to take care of it is through bonding. And bonding includes picking up the animal, touching them, petting them, talking to them nicely, going through routine with them, feeding them, giving them little treats from time to time, diapering them, and just spending a lot of quality time with them. They do require a lot of time at first when you get them. If you are somebody who works 40+ hours a week, having a pet duck may not be for you because these animals do require a lot of interaction from their families, especially at the beginning. So with this bonding, this means you actually don't need to have a young as possible baby fowl in order to be a great indoor pet. There are lots of ducks that imprint on people and are left homeless. from 3 weeks old to 3 months old, even sometimes 3 years old. They can become really great pets within your family through the bonding process. They don't need to be little for you to show them love and for them to really learn to trust you and to bond with you. I've had several friends who had acquired imprinted ducks around anywhere from 3 weeks old to 3 months old, and they became great bonded pets who see that person as their mom in their life. I myself have had foster ducks that I helped just house until we were able to find a new home. And those ducks were well over 3 years before we found them a really great home with a new mama. And those ducks actually instantly bonded to that mom. Even on their long ride home, they were already bonding to her and have become really attached to her. So when it comes to obtaining fowl, we highly recommend that you look through Craigslist or Pet Finder or other poultry forums or the groups on Facebook and check and see if there are any ducks, chickens, or geese in your area that really need a new home. Like I've said, these animals are so hard to rehome and oftentimes are put under because they just can't find a home for them. So please go through and look and see if there's any animals in your area that you can be a great home for before deciding to go through the hatchery route. So some of the things I'd like to just talk to you guys again about with adding small animals or even older animals into your home, just to really help with that bonding process. It's something that I like to call a body check. It's a great routine to do with your animal, no matter what their age, to help them bond to you and to become a great pet. One of the best things to do is it's just a general observation of them and to double check all of their body parts to see how they're doing. Some of these things you can do are checking their wings. Especially with the younger ones, you can just gently manipulate their wings so you can see them, check the feathering. Other things you can do is to check their feet. I highly recommend that while keeping them calm and holding them, that you pull their little foot back so you can see the bottom of the foot. Poultry are very prone to infections and injuries to their feet, and by doing this often, you can catch these illnesses early where they're still easily treatable. Another thing to do is to get them used to you touching their beaks and even opening their beaks. And this will help if they ever get sick in the future and need to take oral medication, or if they become injured and you need to syringe feed them. This will just help them get used to you touching them and get used to the idea of being manipulated. This can only help in the future as your pet grows. It's also a great bonding time for you just to really spend time talking with them and loving them and having them become a great part of your home. We hope that all those families out there who feel that they would be a great home, please look online, do your research, feel free to contact us with questions and we'll try to get back to you as soon as you can. And we hope this has been informative and that it helps you guys make wise decisions about adding new members to your family.